Hi, my name's Jane Scarf, and I'm coming to you from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And my message today is about how we resist vaccine, PCR test, and how we can deal with the threat of vaccine passport. I posted a video this week on Facebook and YouTube about a piece of legislation called the Gene Discrimination Act, and it prohibits forced PCR testing. You know, if they're going to pressure or refuse services or fire you, things like that. That's all a criminal offense. So that's all really, good and important. And there's been a lot of talk recently about various employers requiring vaccine. And I'm getting absolutely inundated by people looking to know more about the gene discrimination law and a strategy to deal with the forced vaccinations and potentially the vaccine passport. Now, I do have some theories and some suggestions to make for people for the vaccine, an exemption on religious grounds. There's fetal cells in it, and there might be other ramifications, like religious ramifications of with gene altering and things like that. And as well, there could be medical reasons like allergies and other issues that could pose a risk to people if they take the vaccine. So that's another approach. And another, and I do have some template for the religious exemption. If anybody wants it, I'll leave my email at the end of this video. And also, it would be a good idea to try and get the employer or whoever it is that's requiring the vaccine to sign that they will take responsibility for any vaccine injury that occurs. Because the vaccine companies don't take any responsibility. They've been, they're immune to it. So that's also another approach that can be taken. It doesn't look like the unions are being very useful or helpful to this issue. So these strategies would have to be done directly by the employees. And it would be a good idea if you have groups of employees, for example, that take a similar approach. It'll help. But really, this video is not just about giving information, although that's part of the reason. But another reason is I want to recommend that people really examine your orientation and your motives for things. I'm finding, and I was getting really, literally snappy today, and I'm not a snappy person, but I'm getting very irritated with people calling me, basically wanting me to provide all the information. They don't want to look anything up. They don't want to really do anything. And they appear to want me to just, do something magic, snap my finger and make all of this go away. Well, I can't do that. And so when I'm telling them the reality of what they need to do, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that they're risking their job or that they may not be able to get on the plane, whatever, to do business or to see family or things like that. And they almost act like I'm preventing them or something. It's very odd, and I pick it up and I hate it. And I can't do anything for somebody who has a mindset that whatever they do, there can't be a risk. whatever they say, or, they're going to file something or do something or get me to do some magic that's going to resolve the matter for them without presenting any risk. Well, and they always, this is another thing, and I'm finding annoying because a lot of people are doing it. Well, what's going to happen if I do that? If I refuse to have the vaccine, or if I, whatever, take any steps or address it at all? What's going to happen? What are they going to do? Well, how would I know? Like, I don't see the future, and it's not like I can draw on the history of this type of thing and give some kind of a prediction. This is the first time we've ever been faced with this. So I don't know any better. In fact, they probably would know better than I would what their employer is likely to do or not do, because I don't even know their employer. So I'm just kind of venting because I find that really frustrating. So if people want my assistance, the assistance that I'm offering is to give the information that I have, and to make any referrals that I might be aware of, and to back up your action. This is not, you can't come to me and make me do the action. That's not going to happen. It wouldn't even be effective anyway. You have to do the action. If you want this to stop, you have to do it. And anything you do to try and resist this will have a certain risk attached to it. But really, when you're analyzing this, you can't do it by the normal, way that people analyze, whether they're going to, speak up or resist something at work. Normally you're like, well, I can't lose a job, so I'll just suck it back and do this or do that. But this issue is different, because on the one hand, if you stand up for yourself, there's a risk that there can be retaliation and potentially loss of job or loss of service or whatever the case is. But on the other hand, what's the risk the other way? If you take the vaccine, what's the risk? Pfizer, CDC claims that the risk of severe disability to the point where you need someone looking after you is a result of the Pfizer vaccine. And I forget the figure off the top of my head, but it's higher. The risk of death due to vax injury is higher. And all isn't said and done yet. And all the injury may not occur immediately after. So, and if they occur after a week, the chances are they won't even connect it. Some other, you died of a heart attack a week later, or some other thing that potentially could be related, but because a week has passed, they're going to conclude that it's not attached or it's not connected. But that's not reasonable either. So you have a really high risk of disability and a higher risk of death. It's not really high, the risk of death either, but neither is it for COVID. But it's higher than the risk for COVID. So and I think that a lot of the flexing, like Trudeau flexing, he's going to make you have a vaccine. There's consequences if you refuse, and he's going to promote the vaccine passport. That's all hot air. He has no authority to do that whatsoever. First of all, he hasn't declared a national emergency yet. Okay, so if he does declare a national emergency in order to be able to do these things, it would fall under the Emergency Act 1988. And in that act, it says in the preamble that in the planning for an emergency, the government has to respect your Canadian Bill of Rights, your Charter of Rights, and the international social and political covenants. And they can't abridge those rights, even in the case of a national emergency. So there is no provision. There's no provision for them to pass something that overrides your rights. And we have rights in the Canadian Bill of Rights also, that they would be absolutely unable to pass laws that circumvent that. Section 1A is where you have the right to express informed consent. and it's life, liberty, security of person, and that is a long-standing right that they are not allowed to abridge. Period. End of conversation. So he's just puffing smoke out of his you know what. So don't get all wound up about that. And also federal employees, same thing. You've got really good protection under the Canadian Bill of Rights because it applies to all federal matters, and federal employment is clearly a federal matter. So you can go to court and get an injunction to stop him from doing that because it's unlawful. So we've got a really good legal basis to resist this, and people have to, learn it themselves. I mean, they can't just come to me and get me to do some magic wand. Like, no such thing. That's not happening. And nor is anybody else going to come in on a white horse and rescue you. That's not what this is about. This is a freaking war. And we are all targets of the people that are perpetrating this war. And we have to fight. And we can't just run away to somebody and get them to fight for us. That's not how it works. And as you noticed, you can't just go get a lawyer and wham bam and pay them some money and have it fixed. That's not happening either. You have to do it yourself. You have to take the steps yourself. And if you go to a lawyer, you go to them for information. If you come to me, you come for information and support to have you move ahead. But the lawyers are not willing to step up for these mandates, and for whatever reason. So bottom line is, we have to do it ourselves, and this is the way. This is the way to go, because it's so much more difficult for them to deal with it. People are thinking, oh, join this group, and then this group is going to do it, or hire a lawyer and they're going to do it, or call Jane Scarf and she'll do it. She does it. Like, no, I don't. I don't do that. When people have a charge or some other issue related to all of this COVID stuff, I help them as much as I can with information and support, but I don't go rescue, and I couldn't do that anyways. I could help like maybe, a handful of people at any given time, whereas this way I can help people more extensively, and they can pass it on. They can pass the information on too. So that's about it for today. My email is mjslegalservices@yahoo.com. Have a good night.